What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of What the Fuck Do You Do? I'm your co-host, Shrey Bay Bay. We got T Foxy Trav, Justin Juong Dong, and we've got a special guest today, the wonderful Alani. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, guys. I want a nickname. Well, maybe I'm not cool enough for a nickname, but we'll figure it out.
Do you have a nickname that people have given you before?
Not really. Not cool as what just
Billy
happened.
the Big Mouth Bass. Alani.
You thought that was cool.
I thought so, yeah. Okay,
What
maybe
about-
it wasn't cool.
Alani Money.
Ooh.
Okay, we'll go with that.
We're going with it.
That was off
We're
the
gonna
cuff.
just go with it. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll
Pretty
just let it
creative,
happen.
yeah.
All right, well, we got Alani Money here.
Wow.
How we feeling today? How's everyone's week?
Beautiful Saturday.
I think this is the freshest we've ever been on the pod. All of us had easy nights. We didn't all go to the same party. Yeah,
Yeah, I've been sleeping for the past 2 days.
that's huge.
Because we had an event at work this week, our first gala.
Fancy.
That I helped make happen.
Yeah,
so
she did the whole. Her and Najette on our team did everything.
Ooh.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
With obviously help from folks on the team, but yeah, it was like a 10-month process, and it all came together last Wednesday. So
Congratulations.
thank you so much.
It
Yeah,
was,
it was great.
fun. It was a good party.
Yeah.
Like having been to a bunch of weddings this year, a lot of it felt like a wedding, but then there wasn't a ceremony. You just had it was just a reception the whole time.
Yeah.
It was great.
Well, the ceremony was like the program.
Yeah, so speeches during dinner.
Yeah.
Were you the chief planner?
The chief planner. I was the chief planner's assistant. I would say Najette was like the project
Okay.
lead,
She was Angela on The Office, on the party planning committee.
Oh.
but a much better attitude.
Same amount of cats. Was this your first gala that you planned?
Yeah, the first gala that I've ever planned, and the first that we have done at Marcy Lab. So it was a big moment for us.
What did you learn about planning a gala?
It takes a very long time. There will be a lot of opinions, very much like a wedding or any other event. But yeah, it's just go with the flow. Like everything will probably work out. And it did, so.
Love that.
Yeah, it's kind of like when in doubt, just open up the bar and let people talk.
Play the music really loudly.
Play it really
and just
loud, let people
be chill.
just mill around.
Was there a DJ?
There was a DJ, yeah, for the second part of it.
And 5 open bars. It was.
Oh, there you
yeah,
go.
It was good.
So everyone was.
For the kids.
Who was the best speech? Who gave the best speech on the gala?
Why are you staring dead into my eyes? Travis Fox's speech was the
Thank
best
you.
speech of the night.
Was it actually?
They were all really good.
Top 5?
Top 5.
There was only 5.
Top 5 for sure. I'll take top 5.
No, it was really good. And you ad-libbed some stuff, which was
Did.
off the cuff. And
Ooh, improv.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Had to throw
little
in some
improv.
shout outs and stuff,
yeah.
Well, today's question is grad school or no grad school? What the fuck do you do?
Yeah,
And we understand that you did go to grad school.
I did. Yeah.
So I think we'd love to hear, how did you even get to grad school? What was your your journey, decision making? Tell us about the path to get there.
Got it. Cool. Yeah. So I studied art history at the University of Rochester. So I always had this idea that the path would be very much connected to the art world. So my first job out of school was working at the Studio Museum in Harlem in the communications department. Kind of fell into that job. But yeah, always saw myself going down this curatorial path. So when I was thinking about going to grad school, I always thought I would go. Just always thought it would be for art history or visual culture. But yeah, there was a moment where I was I don't want to stop working. So how can I do something part-time? How can I kind of incorporate this into the life that I'm currently building at the museum right now? So it was between a few different type of 1-year programs. So I was thinking about going to this program called ISP through the Whitney and studying kind of art criticism and art culture or visual culture. Or I was thinking about going down this business school route. Very, very different
Right.
paths. But while I was, so it was either that, and then in the back of my mind, I was like, I would love to go back and get my PhD. So I just love to write, and I wanted to, again, do this like visual culture PhD path. I didn't want to leave my job. I was still at home with my mom, came back from Rochester to the Bronx, and I was like, okay, well, this feels like the right kind of like moment and container to like stay with work, stay at home, save some money. And after a few decisions and like chats with her and friends, decided that business school would be the route. So I did this just to kind of open things up and not, do something that
Full
felt
art.
felt too narrow, I guess, in terms of a path. Yeah, so I decided to go back to the University of Rochester, actually. So their business school, the Simon Business School, had a satellite program here in the city. So it was part-time, 13 months, could still work. Tuition wasn't super crazy, and I knew a lot of the professors just being on campus and knowing some folks in the business school. So after a few decisions, taking the GRE, decided that was going to be the path. It was part-time. My classes were Saturdays and Sundays every other weekend. So I effectively didn't have much of a social life for about a year. But yeah, so the classes were 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday and Sunday.
That's brutal.
It was really horrible. It was a lot of work, and I was still working. But yeah, I don't know. It looking back on it, obviously during it felt horrible and shitty. But looking back on it, I definitely think it was the right decision.
What were you, because you were art history and then you wanted to do business, what were you hoping to get into afterwards? What was the end goal?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I had always loved the way I kind of thought about myself in this creative space. It was very much creative, but I wasn't, I didn't consider myself an artist, but being able to work around creative people was gratifying to me. But it was also this kind of analytical problem solving side of me in my brain that I was just okay, working at the museum, I get to do these two things because I'm not so tied to artists, but I'm in communications and I get to work around designers and things like that. So even doing business school, I was I still think that I can still do what I'm doing at the museum. I ultimately ended up leaving the museum just because it didn't feel rigorous enough, especially after school. I absolutely loved the team and the work I was doing, but I started to talk to my friends who were on the kind of agency side of things. And yeah, it was just I had a few friends that were strategists at agencies. And I was just oh, that sounds really interesting. I get to problem solve, be analytical, and solve things in a critical way, but potentially still be close to designers and creative people in that way. So ultimately ended up going to a design studio, an agency, after the museum, right after I finished my degree.
Of it. Okay. So you've made some pivots there.
Yeah. And now I work at a school. So, yeah.
I also like you outgrew the museum. You're this isn't hard enough.
Yeah, it felt challenging, but I think I was challenged in the wrong ways. I think I was very frustrated with the things that I ideas that I had or ideas that other folks in the team had, but just not being able to kind of see them through. I think that's also just a product of a lot of nonprofits and just doing things how they used to be done, people feeling rather comfortable with how things are done, and also just resources they're not always there. So there's just a lot of conditions that don't make it easy to just innovate and do things you want. so yeah, I don't know. I was there for almost 5 years, and I was like, okay, like I love you all so much, but I think I'm good. I'll see you
But bye.
soon. But bye. Yeah. On to the next thing.
That's so interesting. Do you feel like you would have felt that same degree of like you needed more of a rigorous job if you hadn't gone through business school and those classes?
I think it forced me to think about my work in a different way. Do I remember what I learned in business school? Absolutely not. I was like on my way here this morning trying to remember. I was like, I hope they don't ask me what I learned, because I literally do not remember. But I think the thing that has stuck with me was like, so like the structure of business school, like you're put in like a pod or like a group for the duration of whether it's a year or 2 years, whatever. So like working with those two women in this group, it was just like a constant exercise of problem solving together, collaboration, stressing out together, like, so it was this bonding experience, but also just like critically working through problems consistently together and collaboratively, that I think I definitely didn't experience in undergrad, because I was in art. Particularly for me, like a lot of the work I did was by myself, like working on papers or whatever. There was not much like group work. So yeah, I think it gave me a sense of a different way of working. So when I came back to work environments, I was just like, oh, like I feel like I have a different sense of how to work with others, problem solve with others. And I think that was honestly like the biggest takeaway from grad school. So I paid a lot of money to learn how to collaboratively work.
How to do a group project.
Yeah, but honestly, like I don't know. It was, and obviously the things you learn, it's like strategy, accounting, finance, like all these things felt very applicable to like also just being an adult and a human and things like that. But yeah, for me that was like the biggest takeaway, and it's like gotten me to really cool places so far. And it allowed me to kind of make that pivot into agency work that I think that I probably couldn't have done without that degree. Yeah.
So it sounds like it was worth it very well
I
to
think
you.
I think it was
like
worth
picked
it.
up intangibles, you're able to pivot, you're able to kind of use like a different part of your brain.
Yeah, I'm still, paying my student loans, but it's I think, strategically, I think it was worth it.
Well, and that's maybe like the question that people always think about is like the money for grad school.
Totally.
There's definitely like a perceived benefit of going,
Yeah.
but what, I guess, would you advise people who are thinking about paying money, taking out a loan to go to grad school, like how to think about the perceived benefit versus that cost?
Yeah. I mean, we'll obviously say it's like an absolute like privilege and like luxury to even like be considering like the option to go to do more school.
Yeah.
So when I was considering that business school specifically, I was thinking, like you were saying, like what is your next thing? Like will this propel you into the next role? So it was very much like thinking about my career and that pathway. And it was like, well, I'm not going to do something that doesn't feel tangible enough. So that's why I kind of didn't go the art route. Because again, it just, that very specific path felt a little too linear, actually. Because it was like, okay, you're like a communications assistant at this museum, and then you're a communications assistant, or like manager at another museum. I don't know, like I just very clearly could like see that path, and that didn't quite feel right.
Wasn't for you.
It wasn't really for me. So in my case, going to grad school was like, okay, how can I kind of break out of this linear path, give myself a bit more options when it comes to making a decision, or kind of like, decisions on this path, like how can I kind of widen this? And I think like as I'm a communications professional, whatever that means. Okay. But like I never thought I was ever gonna be in comms at all. But like I very much like think of myself as like a strategist and problem solver. So like no matter where I am, that's kind of like the bulk of what I'm doing. And I think grad school really helped me, again, kind of cultivate those skills so that I could like firmly say that I know how to do that. And wherever that kind of takes me, then I'll be fine. So yeah, I think it was really worth it. And I think if, as you're considering it, it's like really thinking about like what those tangible skills will be. Yes, there will be a price tag attached to it. But it's also like, yeah, are you willing to kind of take that on? If you can, if you have the privilege to take that on, then
Yeah.
it helped me for sure.
One of the things I'm curious about, because especially with business tracks in grad school, I've always heard like the network is worth more than the coursework. With the type of program that you had on weekends, part-time, like what were the types of other people attending the program with you? And have you seen benefit to like staying in touch, to continuing to network with them?
It's funny. Yeah, I'm just truly the worst at networking. like the worst. So that wasn't really, didn't really help me. The things that kind of have helped me professionally have actually been none of them from grad school. But I am still close with a few of the women that I went to school with. Have gone to like weddings. There's been baby, like, you know, so it's been really cool to kind of see like personally the connection that we've all still had nearly like 6 years post. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of folks, when you go to like a Harvard or a like larger, more like deeply, I don't know, like business schools, like that's very much the vibe. Like a lot of folks kind of like start companies together, like after school. A lot of us that did the program, we were already working. So a lot of us kind of already had our career paths. No one was really kind of starting things together or anything like that. A lot of people were in finance. Nearly like everyone was in finance. Wow. And there was like a management track, which I did, and then there was a finance track. A few of the folks who did the management track with me ended up staying for a following year for the finance one and getting their MBA. I only have my master's, my MS in management, but I was like, yeah, I'm out. I got what I need. I'm not paying anymore for this.
Did it appeal to you, the finance track?
Absolutely not. That was the worst class of my life. I actually did the best in that class during, I don't know how. I can barely do algebra.
Maybe it's because like you cared the least about that. You just ended up doing the best.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. So,
are you tight with the people from your pod?
I am. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. In school, group projects never like worked for me.
Yeah.
There's always like one person who does pretty much all of the work. There's like a second person who like maybe kind of, but like doesn't. And then there's a third person that's like completely checked out. And they know the other person's doing all the work. So they're like going to take advantage of them.
Totally.
What about adult group projects like the one we're doing right now?
Yeah, this is a good vibe. This is a good
This is good. But we've also had like 4 years to work out the roles and logistics.
Kinks, yeah.
Not like 12 weeks.
Who's doing all the work?
Yeah.
Who's the one?
No, I think
we're even.
I feel like we divvied it up pretty.
Shrey gave us a come to Jesus like 9 months ago. That was like, stop making me edit everything and showing up late to meetings. Like, yes, sir.
Do you like have meetings together?
We have a meeting every Monday morning at 9 a.m.
No, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
9 a.m. at Monday morning.
Yeah. Because we all have like stuff at night and it usually conflicts and we work.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's actually the one time we're all typically available.
I mean, you just talked about doing school for 8 hours a day, Saturday and
No,
Sunday.
I know,
It's like,
but like,
She didn't have a social life to interrupt, so there wasn't much going on.
yeah. But you're like opting into doing this. So
so are
so
you.
did yeah. And I was like, I said that and I was like, oh, that's
We do it for
stupid.
free.
That's not that else. Yeah. Bad argument.
I do have a question though, because like it seemed like grad school worked out really, really well for you. Like, and in those moments before, like, were you nervous about anything? And like, what were you nervous about?
No, I don't think I was nervous. Yeah, I think it felt like I was mentioning before, like I was still home. I got to keep a job that I loved, work with people that I really loved. Yeah, it was stressful for sure. But I think the conditions around me all made it less stressful. Like I didn't have to like cook a lot. Like I was home with my mom. Like she was like helping out a lot, just like emotionally. So I wasn't like doing all this. Still had to like pay bills and like be on my own and like do all this other stuff that just can add to the stress of doing all these things. Yeah, so no, I wasn't too nervous. I was excited about what would kind of happen post school. School was also so fun. Like, drank a lot.
Yeah. Okay. How does
it's like
what
the
is
business school stereotype of just being hammered for 2 years. It's true.
Let's center in on that for a little bit. What is the difference in like the social life? Are the parties better in grad school versus undergrad?
We didn't have like, cause like, so I went to University of Rochester, so I was like on a campus, and I was also in a sorority.
Whoa.
I knew you were gonna bring it up, so I'm just gonna like jump.
What
and
sorority?
say-
Grad school sorority?
No, undergrad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like it was like a lot of like organized partying. Still fun, you know, like frat house, blah blah blah. So obviously going to grad school in this city is like what?
Blah, blah, blah.
Frat house,
that's
blah
a-
blah.
Fill in the blanks.
Good way to sum up 4 years. Just frat party, blah blah blah.
But yeah, fill in the blanks. But yeah, I mean, like obviously going to grad school, like I was the youngest person basically in my program. Everyone was like at least 30 at the time. I was 25, 24. I think I started when I was 24.
It's a very important 5 years between 25 and 30.
Yeah. So it was like I was still kind of like fresh out of the blah 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 frat house blah blah blah. But everyone else was like so beyond it and like still drinking, but not like drinking. But like I was very surprised when we would all hang out. Like they were drinking way more than I was. Like it was not like wild, but I was just like, this is like a sustained amount of like beer drinking.
Yeah.
Like, what? Is this what adults do? Not just like chug like 5 beers in like 2 seconds. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. Lots of like partying. We would just like go out after class.
Were you leading the charge?
I actually wasn't leading the charge. That's why I was like, I'm so confused. This is amazing.
You weren't like, hey guys, let's go do Edward 40 hands.
Take 40
Did you ever do a night at the museum where you snuck everybody in to the studio?
Oh, I was like, what? No, I did not do that. No.
That's sad.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, which made being at school the next Sunday from 8 to 5 challenging at times, but also just made it easier.
Were you more proud of your first Rochester graduation or your second?
I didn't go to my grad school graduation
Okay.
because it was in
Oh.
Rochester, and I was like,
Like been there?
Yeah, been there, done that kind of. So yeah, no, I didn't go. A lot of us didn't go actually. We kind of just like did a brunch in the city, and it was like our own little graduation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
honestly.
it was like
Yeah.
super chill. I was like, I don't need to go all the way to Rochester just to say I did this. Like I know I did this.
I spent a year doing it.
fucking
It's
did
It's kind of a
this.
flex to not go. Like I could go, but I don't need to go.
Yeah, whatever.
What was it like looking for jobs? Because like I went to a big state school for undergrad,
Yeah.
and like there's like a lot of resources and opportunities, but it's kind of on you to
Yeah.
figure it out. Like they're not really proactively helping you. But what was that experience like for you at grad school?
Yeah, a lot of the job search was just done on my own. Lots of talking with people who I knew. So I knew I wanted to go into this like agency world. My roommate at the time was working at a marketing agency, and he was a strategist on the team. And I was like, I don't know what that means, actually, but it sounds kind of cool. Like you just kind of get to talk to clients about like issues that they're having, business issues, and then like help them solve them, like using comms or marketing. So I was like, yeah, I could do that. So it kind of started with just like lots of conversations with him and folks that he knew. My partner at the time was also like at a brand agency, so had some like connections through him. But yeah, it was just like a lot of like fact finding, like understanding like what it would mean to be a strategist or like go into this world. So that was like a few months of doing all of that. I had finished school by that time. And yeah, I think like start to finish, that process was about like 10 months. And I finally reached out to someone on LinkedIn. I like found this agency, saw that they were hiring a strategist, and reached out to the other strategists on the team over LinkedIn. I was like, this looks really cool. Like you're an agency that like focuses on like design and communications, and a lot of your clients are nonprofits. So I was like, okay, I'm not like a total sellout, like going to like work in an agency. I'm like working for Nike. No, I was like, yeah, like I thought still felt like a good person while working at a for-profit company. So later I didn't even realize that like the company was so small that he was the only strategist on the team.
Oh.
And he and the Rami who owned it were like, they basically like started this company together. Like the person who I reached out to, Alex, he had been working there right out of college. So he had been working there for a few years and had a lot of like leverage when it came to hiring another strategist on the team. So I was like, can I give you a call and just like see what it's like to like do your job? And he was like, yeah, sure. And then like the next week I had an interview, and then 2 more interviews, I was hired.
Damn.
It's kind of
love
wild.
that.
Yeah. And then I stayed there for almost 4 years. And we're all great friends. So just like out here collecting friends along the way.
Yeah. Okay, the GRE sounds horrible. Was it horrible?
Yeah.
I
It
can't
was a lot
imagine
of
taking a
study.
standardized test right now in my life.
No. And that's why I was like, I'm going to do all of this stuff before I get too old and I don't care anymore. Like,
Is that where we're at right now?
there's no way I would go back to school now. There's no way.
No PhD in art now.
No. Sad, but no. Yeah, I think that would have been cool. But 7 years getting a PhD would have been wild.
That's how long it takes?
Yeah, the program I wanted to do is 7 years.
God.
PhDs, they're horrible, yeah.
But that would have been so sick.
You're a
to be like,
doctor.
oh,
You'd be
you're
a
like
doctor. Yeah.
Doctor of letters. So cool.
That's
Like
so
Indiana
much school.
Jones.
That's so much school. I can't like. I think about people who are in medical school, people who do PhDs. Like how I was bad at the minimum requirement of school.
Our friends are still in school. Like, even though
For
in
what?
medical, right? Like you
for
get
med
out and then you
school.
have like 4 other somewhat schoolish
Yeah.
apprenticeship type things.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
residency.
If we were to poll business school grads, law school grads, medical school grads, like who do you think generally is the most satisfied? I don't have any stats to back this up. I'm just like curious.
I thought you were gonna whip out the
No.
stat
I know. I
line.
was like,
It's
and
a
the
trap,
answer
trap
is.
question.
I would say not law school.
Not
Not
law
a
school.
lawyer. Your life kind of sucks for a long
I don't
time
know a
after
single
school.
lawyer who loves their shit.
They're all miserable.
No one loves that.
I kind of view like law school and medical school as somewhat different because, I mean, there's the question of do you want to be a lawyer or like work in that field? And some of those fields kind of suck. But like you have to just go to those schools. Whereas like the program that you did, like that's more like by choice because you felt like it was going to give you more opportunities. But it's not
Yeah.
like a hard requirement necessarily.
Yeah, like you can't break into the
I
industry
see.
without
Like you
the
can't be a
certification.
doctor
Yeah.
by not going to medical school. I hope.
I mean, yours is the only one where you can actually do that concept of broadening your horizons, right?
Yeah.
Like you know what the
Yeah.
horizons are in
Yeah.
med school or law school, but you had the most choice, I guess, with yours.
Totally. Yeah, and I would say business school is like there's no like linear track like
Right.
after it. You meet some cool people. Maybe it turns into you starting a business, or maybe it's you just accelerating in what you're already doing. But yeah, there's a lot more choice, which is cool.
Does this affect y'all's opinion of grad school? As two people have never gone, like, where are you considering it at any point?
Did you ever consider it?
In
No.
undergrad, I had this like weird fantasy of like maybe I'll be a professor.
Whoa.
That is a
Oh,
weird
cool.
fantasy.
I just thought it would be like
that's
a cool lifestyle. You just come and like say stuff at a lecture, wear like tweed jackets, and then like
Did you have a hot professor when you were like,
No.
I want to be that?
no, I was in engineering, so not a lot of attractive people. I'm talking like these professors are so old that some of my friends' parents had them.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
that's actually wild.
they are like legacy institutions.
I feel like you would need to just like innovate a little bit. You can't keep teaching the same thing for 50, 60 years.
Yeah, some of these people.
Get tenured and just coast.
Yeah. No, I never really considered it. I feel like my family would be like, "Oh, like, would you want to do like grad school?" And I'm like, "No," because I don't really know like why.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I have a good answer as to the why, then I would.
Yeah.
But I think it's just like, are you guys gonna pay for it?
Yeah.
No. Okay. Well, then no, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah. Totally.
For me, and for the reason why I haven't done grad school has changed. For the longest time, it was just everyone in my family was like, "You got to go to grad school. Like, you got to go to grad school.
Really?
You got like, they're like doctors or lawyers, and I like mad Chinese, so they're like, you have to go, dude." And I'm like, "Fuck you! I'm not going to grad school. Like, I hate school. I hate this school." So when I was young, like that was the motivation then. I think now, as I get older, like the opportunity cost
Yeah.
for me is like, if I don't know exactly what I want to do or what kind of horizons I'm trying to broaden,
Yeah.
like my job's cushy, like as is. Like it's
What do you currently do?
tech sales. Like I'm not amazing at it, but I'm decent enough, and like so it's like it's the kind of golden handcuffs thing, right? So I don't hate what I do. I'm interested in the network, but I don't know what I would pivot to, and that makes it a little bit more daunting.
Yeah, because the opportunity cost of like the time, like 1 to 2 years full time, like 3 years part time, and then the money, like you have to make up, especially at 30 or getting into your 30s, like you have to make up a bunch of income to support. Like I think an MBA at a big school is like what, $220,000 now or something.
Yeah.
It's crazy. If you want like a top 15 school experience or something like that, but it's a lot.
And I do like, particularly with MBAs, I do see people who do it more for like, this is just like another thing, like another credential or like another, like a status thing, which is like, that's a lot of money for some status. Whereas like, I do know some people who are like, I do want to be in like finance or like investment banking or something. Then it's like, that makes sense. You should probably do that then.
No, yeah, it is wild that people just like accumulate degrees. It's just like this is a lot of time and a lot of money. Like,
Yeah.
what is going on here? Yeah, I don't know.
Trav, you were in grad school.
Yeah.
And then you weren't.
I'm a proud grad school dropout. Yeah.
Why did you drop out?
It was interesting. So I went to USC and I did political science, and I was really into politics and political campaigns and political communications. And I think I wanted to work. I actually had a job at like an agency, a comms like strategic agency for a bit. And towards the end of college, I was looking at my credits, and it was like, okay, I really liked school, so I took a lot of classes. I was the opposite of Justin for a little while. And so I was going to graduate in 3 years with a poli-sci degree, but I was in this like honors class, so it was going to take a year to do a thesis. And I kind of wanted to graduate with honors. And I'm like, but I can't just take one 4-credit course for like 12 months like, and just chill. Actually, that would have been amazing. The best senior year ever. But USC had a 4+1 program. So usually the grad school programs took 2 years, but if you tailored it on to the end of your undergrad, you could get it done in 5 total. So a lot of my friends actually did like engineering masters, like comp sci, mechanical engineering, just because it was so easy to just fold into your coursework.
Yeah.
And so I started taking grad school classes my senior year of college. And the other benefit was I didn't have to take the GRE. They just used like my scores from my classes and recs from professors. And so I did public policy, public administration, which was nice because it was a lot of the same like professors that I knew from undergrad. And I did like a semester and maybe like a semester and a half. So almost like half of the grad school program. And it felt academically like a step backwards the whole time. It was really weird. Like,
You were too smart for grad school?
no, it was like, I think it was just it wasn't aligned with my goals or my interests, and it was for a different audience. It was weird. So
What do you mean by audience?
a lot of the people in the program, there were kind of 2 tracks. There's people who come in and they want to do public administration. So they want to work as like social workers. They want to work in city governments, local governments, nonprofit management, that kind of stuff. And then there are people who came and did international public policy, which was like the other track in my program at USC. And everyone from there was like a rich foreign exchange student. So they would all come in. They didn't participate in classes at all. They would have like people write their essays for them and then like get a C, and they'd graduate with like a public policy diplomacy certificate and then go work for like their parents back in Taiwan or Singapore or something. It was
They're all Asian?
they were majority Asian. No, I swear to God, man, majority Asian. They were paying a fuck ton of money to come as international students, and USC just kind of like gave those degrees out.
Just passed them through.
That doesn't sound like them.
And so when you're talking about like group projects, like one of the classes was, I remember, organizational development, which I really like. It's like how to make org charts and make a better organization. And my group project was like a girl who had never been to class once, and the only time she did, like, pretty much got kicked off of her phone because she was on her phone the whole time. I'm like, this is grad school. Come on. And then the other person was like a working mom studying to be a social worker who had like 1 hour a week of spare time. And like, I'm in the middle of these 2 threads, and I just did the whole project myself, and it was miserable. And so I was
Group
like,
projects are bad.
group projects, the group
And
projects
case in
were
point.
worse. And so I was taking these last couple of undergrad classes while I was taking grad school, and the grad school classes were just like more basic, and they were worse, and they weren't as fun. And I'm like, okay, I'm not really enjoying this. And then when I looked at what the outcomes were, it was really in this like $50,000 to $80,000 like city government entry level official range. And I'm like, oh, what this is training me to do is be like a career government employee. And it just, at a certain point, it got less and less attractive. And all my friends were like moving to San Francisco and joining startups and like getting these cool offers. So yeah, I looked at the bill for the next year, and it was like $19,000, which actually isn't bad to finish a degree. But I was like, I can't pay this, and I don't want to stick around and do these classes I'm not interested in. So yeah, I quit. And
What is
then I
that like?
graduated
You just
undergrad.
don't go back?
Honestly,
Like, what?
kind of. And you know the crazy thing is
You have
like,
to like tell someone?
Did you stand up in class and say, I'm fucking leaving?
I'm fucking done here. Flip the table. Funny enough, like I wrote a note to my like advisor, because you get assigned an advisor for classes, and nobody ever responded to me
What?
at USC.
Okay, so
Damn.
I just left.
maybe that is your sign that you did the right
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, I don't regret it.
Seems very transactional.
Yeah, and the nice part is I didn't spend any time outside of my undergrad. Like, I still graduated at the 4-year mark. I had a bunch of credits and stuff. I feel like I took like stats and econ. There were some classes in the grad school program that are helpful. Actually, the stats professor was the best ever. He was this like 6'4", 280 cop who had like, talk about degree collection. He had joined the LAPD at 18. He had like been in gang violence in his teens and was like, this is my way out. And LAPD had this program where they would just like basically pay for all of your continuing education. So he got his like GED, his bachelor, or his like associate's bachelor's, another bachelor's, 2 masters.
Two bachelors?
And like a
Two
PhD in stats. And so now he's like 40 and he has like 7 degrees. And this dude was awesome. He just like would talk about how much he could bench, and then like was a great professor. And I remember, because I had senioritis, I slept through our final. Like
What?
I got this note like grades will be sent out next week, and I was like, oh fuck! At like noon, I just completely missed the final, and I hit him up, and I'm like, hey man, like I have no excuses. I completely missed this. I'm not trying to bullshit you because I had like 96 in fucking grad school stats. It was a joke. And so he's like, okay, well, come to the Palos Verdes police station on Saturday. And so I drive out there, and he's wearing like a Hawaiian shirt at the cop office.
Way
like,
too
police
chill.
station, not
Way
cop
too
office.
chill
Yeah,
for a
what?
police
So chill.
station.
He was like,
And
it
he
was
just
so
let you
funny.
take the test?
He was like, hey, I was going to sit here and watch you do it, but I'm busy. So there's a coffee shop around the corner. Like, here's the final. Don't cheat. I was like, okay.
What?
And I was like, wow. He was the nicest guy ever. No
you
penalty.
cheat?
Nice
I
guy
didn't
ever.
cheat because it was stats and it was like a joke. It was stats for jocks, basically.
What is stats for jobs?
What's the probability I can bench 225 8 times?
I shit you not. That's how because we had like football players in our class who were doing their extra year of eligibility as grad school students.
Can he throw this football over those mountains?
And he would put everything in sports analogies. It was so funny. So that was my favorite class, but I don't regret leaving it. And you know, the job I got out of college after I'd like lived at my girlfriend's place and made no money for like 4 months was equivalent to what I would have made with the master's probably, and paid more over the next couple of years. So I don't know. Yeah.
That sounds like a terrible program.
Yeah.
Like really bad program.
You know, it's weird. Like, I don't think it's that helpful of a degree. Like, and now it's because I've worked in government now, and it is a requirement to move up. Like in New York City government, you have to have a master's to be like a deputy director or director of a department, which I think is bullshit.
Yeah.
'Cause it's like you have to go into debt in some sort of fashion to do this.
Just to get your stripes.
Yeah. So it doesn't make sense. Like, I think there were some helpful parts to it, but I learned way more in undergrad than I did in grad school.
Are you done with school?
I think so. Unless I'm rich and old and I want to just like,
But then you
audit
get honorary
classes.
degrees.
Yeah.
What
Oh,
would
yeah.
you do that in?
Honestly, maybe something like art history.
Yeah?
Like, it'd be really fun. Or like literature or something that has absolutely no bearing. No offense.
Wow. That absolutely has
no
no
bearing on your
worth
career.
and
Drop the bomb.
useless.
Just a throwaway degree.
Wow.
Catching strays.
Oh, no.
Worst.
It was brutal.
Yeah.
Quick poll of the table. No more school for everyone. More school in the cards for anyone.
No more school.
No.
Unless a company paid for it or I was rich and had leisure time.
That, yeah. If it was at a company I wanted to stay at and they were like, here's like 2 years of free MBA, go.
People still do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
What kind of companies do that?
Deloitte.
Consulting companies.
I'm out.
I mean, yeah, that's a place I wouldn't want to stay.
But that's not okay. But we were talking earlier, like continuing your education. Maybe grad school isn't the play, but like you did a boot camp, Shrey.
I did.
You just took an exam in like AWS certification. So we're all like still interested in learning.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, I do think so I also think today it's very easy to learn a lot of stuff without a formal degree. I mean, even the boot camp I did, like I still kind of consider that like structured school to a certain extent. But like even just like YouTube, if you want to like learn a bunch of stuff, it's all out there. I think the question though is like, can you do that in an unstructured environment and be disciplined? But yeah, it's easy to kind of be like, I'm interested in like learning this and like go take some courses, free online stuff, and learn about it.
I imagine it's hard to apply to jobs. They're like, all right, what did you learn? You're like, I went down this YouTube rabbit hole
I was watching the Joe Rogan experience.
for days
And then I pivoted to microbiology.
to vaccines.
But the thing is I guess it depends on the job. Like I'm trying to pivot into like design, and at the end of the day, it's like your portfolio. They don't care like if you. I mean, I'm sure if you went like undergrad design school, like maybe that has some cred, but like doing a boot camp doesn't like mean anything.
Really?
If you're a self-taught designer and your portfolio is great, like you'll get hired,
Yeah, that's true.
which I kind of like. That's like more
Is
merit.
that what you went to school or like this boot camp for was design?
Mm-hmm.
Graphic design?
Product design, UX
Product
UI design.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, got any connects for sure.
I don't know, maybe.
I used to work in strategy, so the strategist term is very familiar of
Yeah.
how vague and ambiguous, but
Depends where you're working.
yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
What was your certificate program, Justin?
I just got certified as a cloud practitioner for AWS, which basically means that I know all of the products that AWS has. What I will do with that, I don't know yet, but I do have an interest in like cloud technology, understanding like how those systems work. I also just like, as a salesperson, you don't have a ton of hard skills, so you like I talk to people all day, but I want to have tangible things that I know, and that one seemed relevant to what I do day to day. So just adding skills as I progress my career. I do have a question. So we polled our audience with the question, do you think grad school is worth the money, yes or no? We had 50 people respond.
Cool.
Only 36% of them said it was worth the money. Wow. So our audience, the responses were overwhelmingly millennials. What do you think that our audience is missing out? If you could crystallize what they're missing out on.
I mean, it's such a personal choice. Like, it's such a personal choice and experience. Like, generalizing yes or no is kind of hard.
So it's my bad.
So the question is framed wrong. No, I'm
That's a
kidding.
shitty question.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like people are, because it's like beyond the kind of like structured nature of like K through 12, or like it's like, okay, yeah, you like have to do this. There's like so much choice when it comes to grad school, and you're often like can be at such different like points in your life. So it's kind of hard to say yes or no, because it's like I could be a mom, or I could be, just everyone has like such different experiences when they could enter grad school. So I think it's like I was saying before, like if your conditions are right to like go into this type of environment again, then yeah, I think it would be worth the money and the experience. But if it's just something that you can't really like manage because of other things that are happening in your life, then no, it's fine. Like, yeah, you definitely don't need it to progress, be happy, all the things.
I think that's great advice.
I love that. Question for the group. If you could go back to school, undergrad, and redo your major, what would you do?
I think I would redo my major.
I would absolutely redo my major.
Wow.
What was your major?
I was a poli-sci major because some idiots told me that poli-sci was econ without math. And I'm like,
That's
you know what?
That's
That
what they
makes
told
sense.
me. And they
That's
told me it was
amazing.
international relations without like confusing languages.
Yeah, I was talking to some, like I played baseball, and so I was talking to some older guys on the team, and like, yeah, bro, like poli-sci is like econ with no math. I'm like, I fucking am awful at math. Like that sounds just like
'Cause
me.
I was an econ major when I started college, but I haven't at this point in my life taken a math course since senior year of high school, and that feels amazing.
Yeah, same.
What about stats for jocks?
That's not math.
That's not
There was no math involved.
So I think I would pivot to business, probably.
Business?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Just knowing what I know now and the things that I like, probably business.
Okay. Any like particular type of bit, like finance, marketing?
When you put like the F word on it, finance, like I'm out because I don't really like
Like a
any of those.
lowercase
This group
f.
just hates finance.
Dude, I don't fuck with
100%.
finance bros. Dude.
Do not.
I fuck with some finance bros.
It's actually someone we've
Are you
never had a
thinking about your
finance
friends?
bro on. We need to get but the problem is that none of them are
Three
like, I'm in a
dudes
deal flow and it's confidential right now. I can't talk.
Can you imagine going viral? 3 dudes interview a finance bro. Oh my God.
That's the one that gets us.
Yeah.
What do you do outside of work?
What would you structure yours, Alani? You seemed excited about that. Your undergrad.
Yeah, I mean, I loved photography, or black and white photography. I started when I was 8 years old. I had my first like manual camera. Learned how to process film, do everything when I was 8 years old.
Did they
which
not
is
have
a
color
little-
photography then? How old are you?
Oh my God.
1915.
It was back in the day.
Oh my God. Yes,
Yo, Trav's going crazy.
color film technology had been invented. But yeah, I just love black and white film, and I love the, just the way it looked differently than color, and the process of developing black and white film was a bit different than color, and just felt, just cooler to me. So I studied that and learned that from like 8 until 18. So when I was deciding what I wanted to do in college, I was like, well, I don't want to be a photographer. I don't think I want to like study studio art or anything like that. But I had an incredible art history teacher my final year of high school, Miss Eskin, and she shout out Jenny Eskin. She like totally changed my perception of like what I could learn, like understand about art. So like it just shifted my whole understanding that like, oh, I don't have to like do this, like I don't have to practice this, but I can just like understand how it's influenced cultural movements and people's lives from very early on. So so she totally changed my whole worldview. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to do this in college. And I did it, and I loved it since day one.
I want to go to an art show. They look really cool.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Have you seen David LaChapelle?
Dave Chapelle?
Is that Dave Chapelle with like
Dave
a mustache? Like, whoa.
I was like, is this a trick question?
It's his French
No.
accent character. I am David LaChapelle.
And my face, I'm like,
He's a photographer. He had like an exhibit I went to last year.
No, I know who you're talking about.
Oh.
No, I'm sorry. What was the show?
He just had like an exhibit somewhere like Flatiron. I can't remember. Maybe it was at Photograph, whatever that you said. But I saw the exhibit and it was amazing. And then it looked like paintings, but it was all photography. I'd
Like
never seen anything like it. It was like
hyper-realistic.
really, really cool. That's all the commentary I can give. It's really cool.
The boys need to go to the museum more.
I think we need
need
to
more
go to
culture.
an art show.
Yeah.
Let's do
I'm
it.
so in.
I'm actually very
Yeah.
down. Yeah, that sounds great.
I would love to be better at understanding art. I feel like
But that's the cool thing. Like, you don't have to like understand it. It's just like an experience.
I feel so self-conscious when I'm in like a
Really?
gallery or like a museum. I'm like, I'm looking at this wrong.
No.
There's no wrong way to look at it,
Yeah, that's the cool part.
unless it's like upside down.
I just need y'all there to help me out.
Yeah, we'll hype you up.
You look at that art, dude.
You're doing it right.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I feel like a lot of people are just like intimidated by those spaces, and they just do not go because they think they're doing it wrong, or like the people there are like, I don't know. It's
Is
like
that
my
true?
type of crowd.
Like I feel like in the movies, there's like why are you here? Like those people.
Do that again.
Yeah.
Why are you here? I'm imagining like a guy in like a turtleneck and like walking
Yeah,
around with a
what's
wine
the
glass.
I was like, what's in your hand?
Champagne.
Just like,
A cigarette?
oh, you're dressed like this.
No one cares.
Leave.
Leave. I'm David LaChapelle. Leave.
We went to Marv's like weird exhibit after the pod one day
We did.
in this neighborhood.
Yeah.
My friend has like a custom furniture artistic company. They did a pop up. And that felt like I was a little nervous because everyone had champagne and they were talking about like furniture designers. And I was like, I go to IKEA.
But yeah, I mean, so you're like interested in like product design and like UI UX, but like that is so similar. Like in the world of like being creative, being a designer, being an artist. Like,
Yeah. That's why I wanted to do
see
it
that
is I
being-
like doing more creative type things, but still have that problem solving. Painting though, drawing, no, I can't do that stuff.
Yeah, neither can I.
You're a musician.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like making music.
Cool.
That's where I wanted to kind of combine some of the creativity for my day job as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I love that stuff. I think if I would go back, I would want to do like audio engineering, like learn that, like technical stuff.
You could learn that now.
It's
YouTube.
It's hard.
Yeah.
You can. I've tried, but it takes like years to kind of hone down.
I want to change my answer. I give a boring ass business answer.
Yeah, business school.
I would want to do like something in like construction, like building big buildings.
Whoa.
Okay, that's cool.
I would love that.
Like
That's
structural
cool.
engineering.
Yeah, I don't have those skills, but I
'Cause you
would
didn't
like
go to
to.
school for
Yeah,
it.
that's what it was.
I feel like your future is in like development, like real estate development.
based off what?
You
Based
want to
off
build a
of-
financial moat around yourself.
Yeah.
You
Got it.
you already own some houses in St. Louis.
Okay.
I'm
Property
a
owner.
part of some
Yeah.
houses in St.
It's a
Louis.
tycoon.
Yeah,
Make
you're a
it.
mogul.
Tycoon.
Those are
Buried-
very good reasons as to why.
Yeah, you like business. You're a sales guy. That's development. Real estate
I'll
and
just
sales.
start building some buildings,
planning.
man.
Yeah.
You should. Yeah.
All right, time to go back to school.
Well, on that note,
Like, oof, why are we going there?
This is fun, but thank you, Alani. This was really cool.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you for being someone who actually went to grad school in this conversation.
yeah.
I was like, I'm the only one.
Yeah.
No, yeah, this was cool. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining. Everybody, follow us on Spotify, TikTok, Instagram, everything. Peace.